funny. All the water's gone. I think it's all transient. Media unfortunately has a 24-hour lag to response. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all good.
So for all the audience who have tuned in right now, so we are talking about esports, and esports right now, you know, especially after pandemic, everyone is watching, hearing everywhere. It's esports everywhere. And so the webinar's agenda today is we will discuss about the scope of esports in India, and the difference between like esports and gaming, the technicalities and the sponsorship opportunities, and the role of media and fan engagement in esports. So there is a lot to talk. And first of all, let me tell you guys that Akshat Rathi, the founder of Nordwing Gaming, is very, very, very busy, and it was not easy to get hold of him and to get a slot free for this session. So thank you, Akshat, and your entire team for this.
I'm glad we are doing this. I think it's important. I think what the work that you guys do with Olympic sports and the smaller unknown sports is phenomenal. So I'm happy to help.
You know, see, yeah, let's start the conversation. And esports, firstly, I feel that there are two sides of esports, where, you know, one is the professional players and all, and then there are amateurs people, the commoners who are playing. So if you are being asked that, okay, how do we define esports? What is the technical definition of esports according to you?
Well, you know, like all new things in life, it becomes a very difficult thing to go ahead and give that answer very clearly. But I'll try to go ahead and make it simple. First, let's break this word down into two components thereof, right? E stands for electronic, which basically means this is a competition that is happening between two entities, whether they are two teams, two players, two whoever's, and they are competing in a playground, right? Like all sports, which is there, it doesn't matter. But the competition is electronic, and it can be on phones, it can be on a PlayStation, Xbox, it can be on a PC, it doesn't matter. It's electronic sports, right? So that's the first. Second, it's a sport. Now, what does that mean? Where does the word sport come from, right? The Olympics, for example, come back and say very clearly that the definition of the word sport is, and I'm going to be technical here, is the physicality of the responses of the participants. And again, the physicality of the responses of the participants determines the result. And that is the sport. That defines any sport. And that's the difference between a game and a sport, right? So, for example, chess is a brilliant game, but it's not a sport because the physicality of the responses of the participants does not determine the result. And physicality was also gone and defined by the Olympics long, long ago as one of the three tenets of the Olympics of sport, which is Citius, Altius, Fortius, stronger, higher, faster. So the physicality of the responses now needs to be a determinant of either someone being stronger than any other person, boxing, wrestling, weightlifting, or it needs to be faster. It can be
Athletics.
table tennis,
Yeah, right.
athletics,
yeah.
Anything that has the responses that require it to be really fast. Or it can be higher, pole vault, high jump.
Yeah, correct.
Right? And those are the ones that determine sport as such. And then there are hybrids of this, right? For example, yachting. Why is shooting in the Olympics? The shooting in the Olympics is you need to go out and control your breathing enough, and it's an endurance test of you to hold your breath long enough at the perfect time and then press a button where your heartbeat and your breathing does not interfere with your shooting. And hence, shooting is actually an endurance test for you, right? And and that's why it's an Olympic sport. So if you have to go ahead and look at that fact, esports is determined only on speed of responses. That means A person versus B person in terms of team speed, whatever you want to do. Esports actually works only on that. The person who's better, if both people are equal, if the person who's going to win is the person who's faster with his fingers, with his mouth, with his eyes, with his responses, with whatever he was going to do. Esports is a speed competition. Okay? That's why it's a sport.
Akshat, you know what? You are the first person जिसने मुझे convince किया है that e-sport is a sport. I have been asking this question to a lot of people, and for some reason, I never got a satisfactory answer. You know, because in my team, we are a like Olympic sports media publication primarily, and in my team, we in our like newsrooms, we often debate that. Our team members, a few of them, they don't even consider chess as sport. So, unko convince karna that e-sport is a sport. So, I think all of the people who are watching right now, I think that's a very much convincing answer. Like it's a race of responses, and that's brilliant. Thank you, Akshat.
That's good. And now, once you've got those two tenets, E and sport, figured, you also have to go through and determine a couple of other things. For example, in India right now, एक बहुत अच्छी चीज चल रखी है जिसका नाम है RMG, right? Real Money Gaming, and there is a lot of people who are doing great work around it. Dream 11, MPL, Paytm, Enzo, सबके सब बोलते हैं वो esports game है. And I think the word that they're trying to go ahead and say is there is a competition between two people on an electronic. It can be Candy Crush, it can be Subway Surfer, it can be ping pong, it can be Ludo. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah. And it's an e-competition, right? It is a competition between people on an electronic item, and hence they call it esports. But that's not esports. Why? Because of two reasons again. This is now we always have to put our business head around it, right? Now, I'm going to be super complicated here again, bear with me, it is called a deterministic versus a non-deterministic business model. A deterministic business model is I control my fate. That means if I play against you, and let's just assume that you are going to be the person who's playing against me right now, and I have to pay 10 rupees and you have to pay 10 rupees, and I play a match against you. And you win. And the reason you win is you're better. And the reason you, so 10 rupees gaye mere, you have now won 15 rupees, platform has kept 5 rupees. We'll do the match again. Pay 10 rupees again, you do this, you win again. And I'm like, then I'll pay one more time. And again you win because you're better. And I'll stop playing. And remember, in sport, the person who has the higher skill will always win. When equal skills are there, the person who has speed will win. But when people are unequal, the person who's better will always win in sport. True. It's like I'm giving you a ball to bowl against Virat Kohli right now, and I'll give you 1,000 balls to go ahead and bowl. You will not get him out.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's better than you.
Correct.
Right? It doesn't matter. He might get out because he's bored. He got out. He didn't want to go ahead and play anymore. He made a mistake, but you didn't beat him. In sport, the better person wins. However, in e-sport, in e-competitions, you need the person who's losing, in this case, my thing, to have hope. So if I have this red handkerchief in my pocket and I rang the bells for my favorite god, I danced around on one foot, whatever I did, and I prayed, I wanted to go ahead and say, I want to go ahead and somehow win. And in 30% of the times, I will beat you because I want to be, there has to be an ability of me to be beating you. My hope that my luck will beat you has to be strong. And that's why in RMG and e-tournaments, the result is for the favor of the person who's lucky 30% of the times. Mm-hmm. Because remember, RMG platforms are like brokerages. They're the best is like their stock market. The RMG platform makes money from enough people winning and enough people losing. They never keep the money from the winning and losing. You never lose against the house. It is between people which is there. They just make enough money from people winning and enough people money from enough people losing. They don't pay for the winning and losing. And hence the business model of RMG requires winners and losers, and it requires at least a 30% chance so that the losers can keep trying again and hope to win and win big. And in esports, that doesn't happen because the winner will always be the person who's better. So, and that's why RMG platforms and esports platforms, while till e-competition level, they are the same, they branch out. After a certain level, esports needs to make the person who's better win every single time, and RMG needs to have a 30% luck chance. Otherwise, the business model breaks down. And that's the other part around esports, e-competitions, everything that you can think of that people will go ahead and make.
And I think that's where because nowadays we're seeing that anyone and everyone is organizing tournaments and competition, and it involves money, and then things aren't okay. Someone said it's lagging, I think. Hi guys, can you hear us? Okay. So yeah, Akshat. So I think somewhere this is, there are people who are like esports gamers, and we'll get into what all esports. And so technically, what is the definition between fantasy gaming and
Mhm.
esports gamers?
The mathematical and the scientific, I'm sorry, often people call me Professor Akshat for this. So I get very deep. Again, I use the word deterministic versus non-deterministic business models, right? A deterministic model is a model in which you control your future. You determine the result. So if I play against you and I clicked a button, the result is mine. Versus fantasy is non-deterministic. You don't determine the result, someone else does. So in fantasy, for example, when Dream 11 does, and I play on Dream 11, which is there, I go ahead and design a team that will then go perform in a cricket match, in an IPL match or whatever match is there. But I'm not Virat Kohli, right? I don't control how many runs he'll make. I'm not the guy bowler. I'm not which is there. I'm just guessing and using my intellect and my records and the scientific. I'm using my brain to create a fantasy model which will go ahead and determine the best result, but I don't control the underlying principle. The best way to explain fantasy, again, going back to the financial stock market, is while the main stock might be the sport itself, which is, let's say, a Unilever stock or whatever, a finance option or an option or a derivative that is sitting on top of that, which will guess where this market will go and what you can go ahead and bundle with, is called fantasy. Because you are actually creating a model on top of another model, which you are not determining itself. So if direct determination is your result, non-direct determination is non-deterministic and hence fantasy.
Yeah, that's quite clear. So Akshat, I will just read out a couple of data points, and which is like the global esports market is expected to grow rapidly, and the esports content consumption will grow 3x by 2021. And in the last 30 days, gamers have earned $3.6 million from esports, and there have been 183 esports tournament, etc., etc. So we are everywhere. You just type on the internet that esports, or I think more than the sport of esports, the revenue and the billion and million and trillion that all pops up. So why is it so? Is it especially after pandemic, because more and more people are participating and playing? Is it because of that? So why suddenly right now everyone is obviously, and Nodwin is a player which is since quite some time, and but now if you see, everyone is eyeing on esports, be it's brand, be it's like media, be it everybody. Probably that's why I'm speaking to you right now. So why has it happened?
I think it's a certain amount of causality that goes in, right? Let's look at any sport versus any other. Again, let's look at three comparables to this market. How long do you think it took India to be a cricketing nation? 1983 is when we won the World Cup.
Yeah.
When did we start playing cricket?
Was during the Britishers.
1920,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
That's about 100 years we've celebrated playing cricket, and we are around 20, 30,000 crore market right now. When did esports become really? When did cricket really become big? IPL is what, 12 years old now?
Yeah. 12, 13.
Yeah. IPL, I think the third year was about $3 billion worth as a property which is there, and this. So there is a certain amount of time that it takes for any kind of sport to go have a certain kind of stature. And comparing esports to cricket doesn't make sense. And then I'll tell you why it doesn't make sense, is because esports is a multidiscipline item, right? It's closer to the Olympics or to the International Athletic Federation, where you have a shot put, a javelin, or a football in the case of Olympics, and a volleyball and a skiing and a fencing, etc. Right? We have Counter-Strike and we have Dota 2, we have PUBG Mobile, we have someone said Legends of Frontera. We have multi-games as a disciplinary activity, and they're all different. Right? And the guy who's great in Counter-Strike is not the guy who's great in PUBG Mobile, because like all sports, it requires mastery theory. That means close to 5,000 to 10,000 hours have to be spent by the person who's literally at the top 100 of the game, would have spent that much time to go ahead and be masters of this, of their skill, of the game and of the sport as such. So if you take all of those things together, what happened was esports was becoming big. NODWIN's been there, they've been there for 5 to 6 years, which is there. We've been building the market everywhere else in the market, which is there. And what's happened in India when you talk about it is, I think the best example is again test match cricket. So test match cricket was in the UK, then Ashes happened, and the UK and Australia kept on playing against each other. And then England took it where the Commonwealth is, and everyone started becoming a little bigger. But it was still test match cricket, and it was supposed to be done by a certain number of rules, and it had to be very prim and proper. And that definition, the Western definition of esports, is coming out of PC gaming. That's why you'll see a lot of it comes out of Counter-Strike, League of Legends, Dota 2, and these huge games that are being built out there. But they all require a PC, and a heavy and high-end PC, close to about 75,000 rupees or above. And it needs, and hence very test match cricket, right? It needs a Maidan, it needs the white kit, it needs the mouse that has to be perfect. It has to have the headset that is perfect. It has to have the processor that is perfect. All of this tamjham that goes around, that needs to be perfect. So test match cricket is PC gaming, and that's how everything was being done. And then came along one-day cricket, and India won one-day cricket and in 1983 and started going and becoming really big with something. And that one-day cricket equivalent, which India is not really good in, is console. It's that. So once in a while, something like a World Cup will happen, or India-Pakistan matches will happen. And in the console world, it's like having a I don't know, the release of the FIFA game or release of the Call of Duty game. Once a year for 1 month or 2 months, something big will happen and everyone will start playing on consoles, and then it will go down because nobody knows what to do with one-day cricket anymore. But the real cool thing that happened was this mobile phone that is there is the one that has made really go big in India, especially with the pairing of the Hindi language. So mobile gaming in India is Hindi dependent. It is not English dependent. It is not in the mother tongue. It is about new content creators, and it's about people having fun. And the democratization of India, right? While we might have 30, 40 million PC gamers, we might have 3, 4 million console gamers, we have 185 to 220 million mobile gamers. And suddenly the IPL happened. Suddenly 2020 happened, right? The Mandira Bedi equivalents have happened. It's fun, it's there, it's in everyone's houses. Everyone started going and playing this. And this was all before COVID happened. And it started going and trending really well. And brands started taking notice, or iska kya hua. And then suddenly what happened, one of the things that was happening pre-COVID was the one stakeholder in this, which is the parent, was going and saying, "Ye bakwas hai. What are you talking about? This is such a waste of time, right? This is go study, be an engineer," because that you're wasting time. And parents care about their kids, right? They study and don't do stupid things in life. This is it. And the kid used to go say, "But it's going to be in the Asian Games. It's in the Olympics. Look at Carrie Minati. He's earning so much money. Look at Mortal. He has 10 million, 5 million followers, 6 million followers. Look at this grand tournament that is being happening right now. Look what NODWIN is doing. Look at these people earning salaries, which is there. Look at these art." And the parents used to go sit in that corner, study. Then COVID happened. When COVID happened, one of the very weird things happened was the parents didn't have the chance to go ahead and say two things: go out and study or go out and play. So things that used to be in the closet, in his room, in the bathroom when he was playing, he's now sitting in the living room and playing, right? He's sitting like this and he's going and playing. And the parent can't say too much around it. He's like, "Theek hai, khelne to, kam se kam samne baitha hai." He's sitting in front of me doing nothing. But very quickly, after the first month of COVID, this is around so the number of people playing in March, and start of March and end of March were nearly the same. They weren't too different. But what started happening was this conversation started happening in house. "What are you playing? Like, what are you doing?" And suddenly he went and said, like if you're a PUBG mobile player and there is audio in it, he's like, "Main to Ramu Kaka ki beti Sheetal ke saath khel raha hu." And he's like, "Sheetal? Acha, Sheetal beti, tu bhi khel rahi hai yahan pe?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm here." And then suddenly he's like, "Haan, Papa bhi khel rahe hai mere. Acha, iska chacha bhi khel raha hai." Then the parent said, "Hang on. So you're actually playing with your friends and your cousins?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm playing with my friends and my cousins." He's like, "Okay, hang on. Go play, but tell me what you're playing. I also want to play. This is fun, right? And then the parents started playing, and then you started seeing this level go, and suddenly this thing that was absolutely illegitimate started becoming legitimate very, very quickly in the parents' eyes. Right now, he got it that this is not a waste of time. This is something that is okay. Now, go full circle to exactly what the kid was saying. Hey, it's going to be the Asian Games. It's in the Olympics. Look, there is Carrie Minati. Look, there is Mortal. Look at these people with a look at what Nodman is doing. Look at this entire video. And the parent is like, oh my God, this is so good. Carry on, carry on. चल तू भी कर. किसी को 2 लाख रुपए बनते हैं इसके अंदर. बिल्कुल ठीक है, खेलना तू. घर पे तो ऐसे ही बैठा है. मुझे भी सिखा, मैं भी थोड़े पैसे बनाता हूँ. Right? And suddenly that legitimacy that was, oh my God, this is stupid and this is absolutely a waste of time, changed over to go ahead and say, this is not, just think of it like a pH solution. It went from -5 to a +5, while the main curve remained the same. And suddenly this thing exploded because the environment worked for it. It's the same as 1983, right? When the reason India became a superpower in cricket was Indira Gandhi had nationalized picture making tube companies for the 1982 Commonwealth Games, where she wanted India's pride to be seen by every household. So she made sure TVs are in every household in 1982 in color televisions, and made sure that they are available free of cost, very, very cheap, and households started. We didn't do well in the 1982 Commonwealth Games, but we did phenomenally well at cricket, and everyone saw India to have national pride that suddenly came in. And that started happening in mobile games. In the just concluded World Cup for PUBG Mobile, the Indian team was number two and number 4. Mm-hmm. And suddenly this pride has started coming in India and saying, we're good at this, yeah. We can beat the Chinese.
Indians सब में अच्छे होते हैं. मतलब जब हम करते हैं तो फिर हम अच्छे होते हैं.
Of course. Remember, there is now 100 million people, right? In esports, is about the top 200. Like all sports, every sport only cares about the top 200. Whether it be kabaddi, whether it be kho-kho, whether it be fencing, whether it be wrestling, whether it be boxing, whether it be football, it doesn't matter. It's always about the top 200 in the sport.
Correct.
And you want to choose the 200 from 200 million. You don't want to choose the 200 from 2000. And as soon as you choose the 200 from 200 million, the sports pyramid that comes from 200 million to 100 million, from 100 million to 50, from 50 million to 20 million, from 20 million to 10 million, and so on and so forth. You have maybe 15 levels of that comes up. And then the top 200 that you've selected are actually really world class. And anytime you have big depth like that in any kind of sport, that's why number one mobile esports, number one country in the world is China, number 2 is India.
Correct. Yeah, that's true. And you know, yeah. Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the social stigma which was attached to esports, like mat khelo, bigad jaoge, and all of that, spending too much time on mobile, and suddenly people are not talking about that much. Like as you said, that parents, they themselves have started playing. Now they cannot say ki okay, tum time not kar rahe ho. Yeah, Akshat,
I can see you.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, you were freezed on the screen, so that's why. Yeah. So taking our conversation further from what we are talking, and now, you know, the other day when we were speaking about whether esports is in Olympics or not, and we know that the International Olympic Committee and Intel, they have partnered to announce the Intel World Open, which is like an esports competition, and it will take place as a run-up to the 2020 Summer Olympics, again, like 2021 now. So where do you think, like, are we very, are we near to the fact that, okay, esports is going to be an Olympic sports?
So it's a deep conversation, right? There's 3 facets to this. First, let's take a football example. Does football need Olympics?
Not really.
So football has its own World Cup.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you need the Olympics? Why does esports need the Olympics is one of the more fundamental questions that's been asked. Earlier, there's a 10 years ago, 15 years ago, everyone wanted to go ahead and get esports into the Olympics. But one very simple thing happens. And if you understand the socio-economic structure of the Olympic movement across the world, is you have to go ahead and take three really clear things. First, the Olympics is actually a media property, right? Everything from the sponsorship to the media rights is what makes the Olympics really special. It makes billions of dollars. It is then taken back and redeployed into the sport so that, but fundamentally, as a money-making body, the Olympics is a media property. Right? Number one, it's not a sports property. That's why it puts in certain sports that make more money than it needs. For example, yacht racing. It's one of the worst things to go ahead and watch. But the people who head yacht racing are some of the best people, one of the richest people for yacht racing across the world. And that's why yacht racing comes, because it creates that revenue generating which is there. Boxing is being looked at to be removed because it's a bloody sport. And there are sponsors who go ahead and walk away from bloody sports. And they'll go ahead and there's a certain bit of sexism here also, where they'll put women's beach volleyball.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
In there, right? So, and it sells more, right? You can go ahead and get more sponsors for it, more media rights for it, and so on. One of the most watched things in the Olympics is figure skating, right? And because it's beautiful, and then there is, so if you go ahead and look at it as a media construct, you want to be able to go ahead and bring in something special. But unfortunately for esports is currently, the current esports that are the big in the world, the big 7 esports, which is Counter-Strike, PUBG Mobile, Dota 2, League of Legends, etc., that we have, are all commercial properties of corporations, right?
Correct.
It's the company that controls it. Riot Games, Valve, this one, PUBG Mobile is Bluehole, or all of these companies own this intellectual property. They own the games. They are the federation. The publisher is the federation. It controls the game, the players, the environment, the tournament, the rules. Everything in the game is controlled and is a commercial property of one person, which is the publisher. But the Olympic movement does not allow corporate bodies to control this. They want elected bodies to control it, right? So how do you go ahead and take a corporate body esport tournament and put it in the Olympics? That's the quandary that is being faced by the Olympic movement, right? Not the fact that esports should be there or not. It qualifies everything that you can go ahead, except the fact it doesn't fit the Olympic movement. It doesn't have democratically elected members to be part of it. So the Olympic, Mr. Sebastian Coe and a couple of other ones have also been working on very, very actively. They have found out that the best way to go ahead and approach this is a two-factor approach. All Olympic TOPS partners, which are the highest level sponsorship of the Olympics, are allowed to go ahead and do demo sports on their own. The demo sport was earlier controlled by the home nation, and the home nation still gets to go ahead and do some, but demo sports are now being controlled more and more actively by the people who are the TOPS partners. So Intel, which is one of the TOPS partners, was given a choice to go ahead and bring in any sport they want. And as their demo sport, they have brought in esports. And they always go ahead and bring things that are locally relevant. And this is not the first time that the demo sport is happening. In the Pyongyang Winter Olympics in South Korea, Intel put up StarCraft as a demo sport because it was in Korea. Korea has StarCraft and so on. And interestingly, of the 18 people who participated in that demo, India had one of them. One of the 18 was there, a guy called Demi. He was part of this. Now, super interesting was the person who won this Intel demo sport challenge at the Olympics was a girl called Scarlett from Canada. And remember, esports doesn't really care whether you're a man, woman. It's agnostic to this, right? The skills don't actually really matter. This is not a gender. We are actually very gender neutral. A girl beat all the boys. It was the best thing that could have happened to the Olympics, right? Intel loved it. The Olympics, Canada loved it. And everyone was super happy about the fact that something like that had happened. Now, when it was happening in Japan, Intel changed the game from StarCraft, which was more relevant in Korea, to something that is relevant in Japan, which is Rocket League and Street Fighter, right? So they changed the games to the games that are relevant, which is there. That's the one approach that the TOPS partner with Olympics is taking. The other approach that Olympics is going and doing is they have come back to their national federations and their international federations and have said, hey, you federations, you are the ones who need to determine when with your main sport do you want to do esports. So if you're the cycling federation, which is actually the first federation to take over this in the world, the cycling federation now has an e-cycling World Cup. And they are the first ones that have it. So the federations are now being told very actively to go and choose which ones to go ahead and do. So अगर cycling आज है, कल के दिन take any other Olympics, so कल के दिन boxing can come up with a boxing esports, which is there. They, when the federation controls it, वो बोलेंगे और लोगों को कि आप ये game बनाइए, हमारे लिए बनाइए, and this will be stitched together. So I think the time is coming in the next 5 years where in the Olympic movement, the national and the international federations will now go ahead and start getting more involved with their main sport, with the esports version of their main sport. Sorry, long answer to your simple question.
No, but that's great. So now I think for the audience, so if anyone is coming and asking you that whether esports is an Olympic sports or not, पहले उससे ये पूछना कि why does esports need to be in the Olympics? So that's fine. And
the total number of people who जो आप आज के दिन इसके काउंटर स्ट्राइक डोटा 2 के जो वर्ल्ड कप्स होते हैं उसके अंदर अगर आप देखो उनकी ऑडियंसेस या पबजी मोबाइल की अभी देख लो आप 8 मिलियन व्यूअर्स ऑनलाइन फॉर वन स्ट्रीम ओलंपिक्स में भी नहीं
correct. I think it will become vice versa, that this is a big statement, but probably Olympic sports will need esports more than esports needing Olympics.
They already yeah, because remember 16 to 24-year-old males नहीं देखते Olympics को.
Yeah, true. So, talking about federations and all, okay, Akshat, let's talk about, we are getting a lot of questions as well, but I think conversation जैसे चल रहा है शायद सारे questions लेने का time नहीं मिलेगा, and Akshat, we can hear you for like the entire day and night. So speaking about federation and speaking more about the Indian industry and the market, एक तो I think esports एक ऐसा sport है जिसमें we are using the term industry, esports industry. We don't say कि boxing industry or badminton industry, but हम esports के लिए भी are saying esports industry. And यहाँ पे अगर आप Olympic sports की बात करें तो we have federations and then we have state bodies and we have Sports Authority of India and everything. So क्या e-sports को इस pyramid में या इस hierarchy में fit in होने की जरूरत है या फिर is there anything parallel like working which is happening in the background? What will be the structure? What will be the formalization of esports in India? So क्या चल रहा है अभी?
So Mr. Narendra Batra, who's the head of the Olympics in India, has asked this same question, right? वो उन्होंने यही पूछा कि इसको कैसे करें? थोड़ी क्या बॉडी बना के करते हैं, लेकिन जैसे कल के दिन हमने एक स्पोर्ट्स बॉडी बना भी ली, उसका उस बॉडी का रोल क्या है? वो किससे बात करेगी? प्लेयर्स तो एक गेम खेलते हैं, वो कमर्शियल बॉडी है. अब वो वही फेडरेशन अगर कमर्शियल बॉडी को कहेगी नहीं आप मेरी सुनो, वो कमर्शियल बॉडी एंड दीज आर $1 billion कंपनीज, वो बोलेंगी मैं आपकी एक छोटी सी फेडरेशन हूँ, मैं क्यों सुनूंगा आपका? मेरा गेम तो मेरा गेम है. मैं अगर अगेन फ्री फायर चला रहा हूँ या मैं पबजी चला रहा हूँ या मैं काउंटर स्ट्राइक चला रहा हूँ या कोई भी गेम चला रहा हूँ, मैं आपका क्यों सुनूंगा? मैं तो अपने गेम को कराता हूँ बिकॉज मेरा काम तो पैसा बनाने का है. I sell in-game items, I sell cosmetics, I go ahead and do this. If people are competing on this, they can compete in the rules I set. But you can't tell me which rules to go ahead and make for you.
Correct.
Right? So I don't think that a traditional federation will work at all. I don't think the existing esports will have their own World Cups. वो अपना ही system चला के चलेंगे. जो नेशनल फेडरेशंस बनेंगी वो एडजेसेंट फेडरेशंस होंगी जो एग्जिस्टिंग ओलंपिक स्पोर्ट्स हैं. सो फुटबॉल AIFF फॉर एग्जांपल अपना ई स्पोर्ट्स फेडरेशन मतलब ई फुटबॉल फेडरेशन बना लेगी या अपने अंडर या अफिलिएट करके एक सब डिवीजन बना लेगी. एथलेटिक्स ऐसे कर सकती है, आर्चरी ऐसे कर सकती है. फिर वो जाके अपने गेम ढूंढेंगे, उनको अपने गेम ऑफिशियली एफिलिएटेड गेम्स ढूंढने पड़ेंगे. जब वो ढूंढ लेंगे और वो गेम्स बन जाएंगे, वो गेम्स एफिलिएट हो जाएंगे उस फेडरेशन को. जब वो फेडरेशन को एफिलिएट हो जाएगी, फिर वो फेडरेशन ओलंपिक बॉडी के अंदर ओलंपिक मूवमेंट में आ जाएगी. मेरे हिसाब से ये काम शुरू हो गया, लेकिन इसे करने में, गेम बनाने में, गेम को बड़ा होने में 1 से 3 साल पक्का लगेगा.
one more thing I feel in esports, every entity is independent of each other,
Yes.
even the players, right?
Yes.
कि अगर आप दूसरे स्पोर्ट्स में देखो तो okay, we often come across news कि फेडरेशन ने बैन कर दिया या फिर so much of internal politics and people the sportsmen they actually they cannot focus on their career, background में कुछ हो रहा होता है, and but esports में ऐसा नहीं है. It's very independent that okay, the player is independent on his or own कि कौन बैन करेगा and whether you can play or you cannot play, someone else will not decide it.
Nope.
It's
So the
you.
only person who can decide it is the person who publishes the game. And he finds out you're cheating or you're hacking the game, he bans you, and you're permanently banned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
So very independent, very democratic. This is true federated sports, right? Where there is a players, and players have to run by the system of the publisher. The broadcasters also work with them. Everyone works very actively with each other to go ahead and make this ecosystem strong. लेकिन इस पे किसी political body का इस पे control नहीं.
Mm-hmm. True. So, Akshat, I think you saw the messages, audience. Some people are saying speak in Hindi, some people are saying speak in English. So probably going forward, Akshat के साथ we can have a separate session for completely for Hindi and for English.
Yeah, मैं पूरा हिंदी एक मतलब मैं काफी लोगों को बोलता हूँ, इंडिया का सबसे बड़ा एक्टिविटी जो हुआ है वो हिंदी की वजह से हुआ है. तो अगर हमें यहीं पे करना तो जरूर भी नहीं. मुझे और लैंग्वेजेस मत बोलना, मेरे ऑफिस के अंदर 6 और लैंग्वेजेस हैं, तमिल, तेलुगु, मराठी सब बोल सकते हैं, वो भी कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अभी सिर्फ हिंदी करो.
Yeah, true. So we are also seeing a lot of that's a separate discussion. I think you can speak a lot on that as well. The regionalism in esports. I'm seeing a lot how Tamil Nadu is emerging. The number of players from Tamil Nadu and other. So okay, let's. I will be concise in the conversation because we have time limit as well. So, Akshat, you spoke about gender neutrality in esports. So, if you can tell us some data points or some, यहाँ पे दो बातें हैं actually. Participation of female in esports, and India being the kind of society, especially the rural India. Let's exclude the cities, and there are places in the remote parts of the country where probably girls are not being given smartphones even today, and we have seen the rise of female players in esports as well. So what do you have to say on that?
So look, my firm view on this is first, opportunity. How do you create opportunity is the big question, right? The opportunity can be created by like universal franchise is there, right? You can create a reservation system. 33% of the seats in a certain in India's parliament are reserved for it, and we personally believe that I think women are the ones who need to go ahead and do. Scientifically speaking, women are actually better multitaskers than men are. This is just proven science multiple times. You can look at most scientific journals across the world on physical capability. It's just men and women are very differently wired. And I know it's a generalization, but most of the times you'll find that to be true. If that is there, then women should ideally be better than the men. But the question which is there is, if you take a woman who's not good enough and you put them in a men's tournament, whether you have an all women's team or you have 1 in 5 being women, I think you do women a injustice, right? Because those women will be looked at negatively because they'll be not as good as the men, and everyone will have to carry them, and the stereotype of the woman is weaker and the men have to protect her will be reinforced, and you don't want to do things like that. You don't want to go out and do. So we've left it open to the women, and for example, there's a team in India that's called Galaxy in League of Legends that just became an all women's team. Now whether they are good or not is determined by the result on the match field. I don't go ahead and change the result if they are good enough, which is there. And then there are women leaders in esports, like a girl called Zaya, who's Shagufta Iqbal. She believes that she wants to go ahead and do this not as an all-girls team. She wants to see it has to be role-based. So if she is the best midfield player in the group that she has, and she wants to make a team around that, she'll make it gender neutral. And if there is 4 more guys and she's playing with them, or there are 2 girls and 4 women, is determined on the cohesiveness of the group itself, which is that. And I think that is a longer, some more sustainable. It might take a little longer to go ahead and do, but I think it is coming and it is easier. It also is determined a lot by the viewership angle of this, right? Not many people understand India had a women's cricket team forever. Um, but it wasn't really big. And I think Mandira Bedi played one of the biggest roles at that time when she started going and hosting the IPL. And it became much more democratized and more people which is there. And now we all celebrate Ms. Goswami or a Smriti or all of the people who go and win for India, right? And then we're very proud of that. But we have to understand where it came from. If more women watch, eventually more women will play.
True, true. And tell me one thing, Akshat. I'm just trying to understand the psychology behind audience. So all the YouTubers, a lot of like everyone is jumping on the bandwagon, be it Tanmay Bhatt, be it Gaurav Taneja, be it like everyone is having doing so much. So why do people enjoy watching a stream? In your simple words.
Entertainment. Why do we watch? What's this guy? Kapil Sharma.
Entertainment.
Why do you watch? Why do you watch a Coffee with Karan? Entertainment. Why do you watch a movie? Why do you watch Patal Lok? Why do you watch Sacred Games? Why do you watch? Why will you watch the IPL that's going to come in right now? Entertainment. And these people are great entertainers, right?
Yeah.
What they're entertaining you is something that you are having fun with. And gaming is, remember, there are over 200 million gamers in the country of India.
That's huge.
We are the second largest sport played in the country of India after cricket. We are the second most watched sport in India after Indian cricket. Obviously, we will have fun with it. Yeah. We have watched more by any other sport than like take, I don't know, Premier Badminton League. We have watched more in India. Tennis, we have watched more in India. Esports is watched more in India than tennis, than basketball, than all of these games which is there. So why won't it be entertaining to go ahead and enjoy things that make you happy?
True, true. You know, I think...
And it's also good money for them, right? It's also good money for the content creators. They get more fans, more viewership, which is there.
Yeah. So this YouTuber, Gaurav Taneja, he opened a new channel recently, and within a span of, I think, 24 or 48 hours, he reached 1 million subscribers. That was like crazy. So yeah. So, taking the conversation further, Akshat, let's talk a bit about sponsorship in esports. So how will it function? Will it, because, you know, corporates have a lot of, I would say, authority over esports as compared to other sports, because there is no like federations and that way. So in terms of having sponsorship and corporates in esports, so I'm sure it will increase, but what is your view on that?
There are already so many of them, which is there. There are two parts, which is called endemic and non-endemic, which is there. Endemic are people who are endemic to the industry. So people like a Vivo or an Oppo or a OnePlus or a Samsung, or if it's a PC with a Omen or an Intel, are all very active in esports in the country of India. If you cannot go away from, if you actually look at any of those esports, you'll always find one or the other guys very actively involved with there. But you also have a lot of non-endemic, such as there people like a PepsiCo with the Mountain Dew brand that is very active in gaming. We work very active. You can build that out for the male, the 16 to 24, because we are still 85% male right now. So, but it works really well with them. You have other brands that are super excited about the space and who have been working in this space to go ahead and see what is cool in this. Across the world, you've seen a BMW with its esports support being extremely strong. You've seen a DHL, which is there. We just did a very cool deal with Airtel, and Airtel has got now involved in esports. So you'll keep on seeing more and more people who like the 16 to 24-year audience. That's India, by the way, right now. Like 70% of India is
young,
15 to 24.
Yeah. So do you think that big names like Puma and Adidas and Nike, they will think of associate themselves? Yeah.
Less than 1 year. Less than 1 year.
Yeah. True. So, and let's talk a bit about the role of media in esports, because in India, obviously, if you see other sports, be it cricket, it's heavily viewership jitna hai, sponsors utne aayenge, and be it like Olympic sports. And the best example is कि क्यों women's cricket उतना popular नहीं है, उतने viewers नहीं हैं, so sponsors उतने पैसे नहीं डालते हैं. It's a circle, right? So the role of media, and if you see other sports, even Olympics, the role of broadcasters is very important in that case. It's Star or Sony. So here for esports, so what is the framework like when it comes to media or the broadcasters?
So media has taken baby steps, right? There is 3 parts to media as such. There's live content, which is the sports content as such. Traditional TV channels find it very difficult to go ahead and broadcast the depth of esports. So let's just take an example tournament, right? A PUBG Mobile tournament is 22 days of 8 hours each. It's like 4 test matches in a row every day. They're like, हम अपना टीवी चैनल बंद करके सिर्फ ई-स्पोर्ट्स चैनल खोल देते हैं. इतना ज्यादा कंटेंट आपके लिए, मतलब like what do you want us to go do? And by the way, there are other countries in Korea that have launched e-sports channels only, but लेकिन उसके पीछे sponsorship, buying capability, subscription capability, pay-per-view कुछ होना पड़ेगा. So media has still not figured out whether e-sports को UFC style pay-per-view treat करना चाहिए, उसको WWE टाइप एंटरटेनमेंट ट्रीट करना चाहिए, या उसको क्रिकेट की तरह एक पूरा चैनल लॉन्च कर देना चाहिए उसके लिए, या उसको MTV पे बिग बॉस और बिग ब्रदर की तरह एंटरटेनमेंट टाइप कलर्स पे डाल देना चाहिए. So media is now trying experiments, and the good news is we are in the discovery phase for media. So Nodwin works actively with over 12 different broadcasters and partners to go and figure out कि आपके लिए क्या चलेगा. And हम सब चीजों पे कोशिश करते हैं. हम कोशिश करते हैं कि हम लाइव स्ट्रीम्स कर लें. We have a show which is called Game Pe Charcha, and we have another show called Mera Bhai series. अगर आप उस पे जाके टाइप करेंगे, we have on MTV we run something called Esports 360 with Star Sports. Star Sports with Hotstar. We go ahead and run the India Premiership. With Voot we run DreamHack. So हर जगह हम different experiments try कर रहे हैं. सब किसी को नहीं पता क्या चलेगा, लेकिन सबको पता है चल सब कुछ रहा है. So the problem right now is esports में जो कोशिश करो वो चल जाता है. So then they are like, अच्छा लेकिन हमें तो समझ ही नहीं आया ये, we wanted some things not to work so that we know what will work. So but वहीं से चल रहा है, and everyone is
that's
and that's
100% true. Akshat, yeah, sorry, you were saying, sorry to cut you off.
But that's it. So everyone tries out. We have a sister concern called Sportskeeda, Porush, who heads that. उसने एक दिन बोला कि यार esports करते हैं. मैं करते हैं उसके अंदर. उसने डाला, उसका second most watch page बन गया उसका. So,
I can totally relate to what Porush said, because 2 months back we started covering esports and we are seeing that almost 40% audience उधर से ही आ रहा है, मतलब that too without putting in 100%. So ये miraculous हो रहा है कुछ.
Right. So the problem in this is it's a problem of plenty right now. It's the fire hoses have open, and it's what you will do as a media vertical with what you want to go ahead and do. Aaj Tak has made gaming.com. Everyone is trying different things, and I tell you right now, what's there to lose? Try. Like I've seen so many questions. हम कैसे आ सकते हैं? Where are we from? I'm in class 12. What do I go ahead and do? My answer is this is not super complicated. We are in such a early stage for this industry. Yes, we should definitely have a chat of what doesn't work, but what doesn't work is less than 5% of this ecosystem. Nobody has even thought about the 95% ecosystem. Just try. Try new things. Someone said, I want to go ahead and build a team. How do I go ahead and find a sponsor? Esports runs like the club system, which is there. Whether you have a Ghatkopur United, or you have a Navi Mumbai United, or you have a Kormangla, or you have a GK United, it's fine. Just make a team with 4 other friends, play. You'll either break up in 3 months or you'll become good. And if you become good, you'll start winning. If you start winning, someone will come knocking and saying, "मैं आपकी मदद करना चाहता हूँ."
I think that answered a lot of questions from the audience. So yeah, people are keen to know that. So let's, after media, media and fan engagement are closely related. And so has not been done anything, or is there any plan of like formalizing the fan engagement part?
So what are fans, right? Do fans love esports do fans love tennis, or do they love Djokovic, or do they love a Federer, do they love a Nadal, right? If you run a tournament, do people watch Wimbledon, or do they watch their favorite guy? Most of the times you will see in a good sport, you'll have one or two people you love watching, teams, and you'll become fans of those teams or players. And then you'll watch the semifinals and the finals.
Yeah.
Because you love the sport enough, right? So the love the sport enough will always bring you only tangible results to the literally the business end of the tournament. After that, you need the teams to go ahead and build this. So fan engagement is actually an inherent responsibility of the team. So my job is actually to go ahead and build enough of team structure that teams become robust enough, both on a business model, on profitability, but also on management structures. So we have now very good Indian teams like Entity, that has now tied up with the world's best team called TSM Entity. We have a Fnatic that is now in India. Mr. Ronnie Screwvala has his U Mumba team, which is the same as his Kabaddi team that actually plays. You have these guys, OR, which is Orange Rock, which is part of Hold to Win, which is a Japanese conglomerate that is there. We now have 6 to 7 corporations in India investing actively into esports. They have team houses, they have player managers, they have coaches, they have therapists, they have rules, regulations. There are 2 IPL teams that will acquire esports teams in the next 3 months. So my job is to go ahead and build the structure. My job is not to build fan engagement. And I know it sounds if I build fan engagement, who am I building the fan engagement for? I need the teams to be big. And I think if the teams are big, fan engagements will follow. And that's why someone was asking how much is gate revenue? Gate revenue is nothing, because fans, franchises and teams have not built in. And just like football, and let's take it as either the Bundesliga or the English Premier League, a Chelsea United or a Manchester United is a much more robust way to go in esports than the IPL 3-letter alphabet. Because whether we like, I don't know, Mumbai Indians or Chennai Super Kings or whatever, the IPL lasts for only 3 months. And then all the players go. And I often have been asked this question, who does Chris Gayle play for? I said, tell me the month and I will tell you who he's playing for. Right? And it doesn't work like this in esports, because the game that you're playing, whether it is Counter-Strike or PUBG, you're required to go ahead and play with your teammates all the time for you to build the synergy. So your team needs to be living outside the franchisee ecosystem. And the only way you can go ahead and do that is have leagues that are 9-10 months long, and have teams that will stick together and are robust enough on financial models, on businesses and revenues and sponsorships and everything that goes. And the last 3 years and 4 years has just been that.
Yeah, true. No, you used a word therapist in esports. I want to bring attention to that, because it's all it's since it's a mind game, and it involves so much of spending screen time and device, mobile and computer. So there is, अगर आप 8 घंटा 10 घंटा 12 घंटा 24 घंटा अगर आप फोन पे हो या उसमें हो, it has an impact as well. And I think somewhere a couple of months back I came across a news where it's a real news. Okay, it's a real news that someone killed neighbor while playing PUBG because neighbor को disturb हो रहा था. Some news like that. And so that made me realize that, okay, are we even opening up the conversation about mental health in esports and mental health in the gamers? So how does it function? Like, are there enough?
So again,
yeah,
there's cause versus causality here, right? So, and I personally believe a person who would kill anyone for a game needs mental health checkup anyway.
yeah.
It doesn't matter what, I think playing a game is just there. Tomorrow you can go ahead and say he was reading a comic book, or he was going on to some stupid site which is there. That's not. I think the person is mentally challenged and mentally hurt, and that person needs help, serious help. And we should always go ahead and so that's the cause versus causality part, right? However, when people ask me, I want to be an esports athlete, and parents ask me, मेरा बेटे को कोई थोड़ा advice दो, वो esports के अंदर game खेलना चाहता है. I said my first question to you is, how long is the person playing? And just like an athlete practices skills, doesn't play games. If you're in, it's like cricket again as a thing. Like when we are in school, they're like, I want to be a cricketer. What do you want to do? Chalo match खेलते हैं. Hello. Stretching, bowling, line and length, exercise, technique, practice. वो सब भाड़ में गया and सीधा match खेलते हैं. Like match खेलना is not something that you will become a sportsman by, because match is the end game of a skill development exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Match is literally the manifestation of your output, not the precursor to your training. Right? Mm-hmm. So then you have to go ahead and be very clear that if a person is playing games for 12 hours a day, they are wasting 6 hours a day and calling it esports when it is just entertainment. More than a good esports athlete will never go ahead and practice for more than 4 to 6 hours a day, will never play more than 1 to 2 matches a day.
That's a very important advice for the audience.
Yes, because otherwise you're just wasting your skill, right? What are you like? You're not practicing. You're literally entertaining yourself. It's like saying, I watch Netflix is an esport. Why? Because I like to watch it all the time. Like what? You're playing a game. It is giving you dopamine in your brain, and that is why you're playing it. You're not building any skills. You're not becoming better. If you, at the start of your exercise today, said, today I will go ahead and do my finger exercises, right? And it's called a 4-finger claw or a 3-finger claw, the way I hold my phone so that it has the maximum response. I will work on my response times. I will work on my agility. I will work on my hand-eye coordination. I will work on my shoulder exercises. I will do a map review. I will go ahead and work on my communication. I will work on synergies. Great. Now it's an objective-based learning program, right? So at the end of it, at the start of the day, you said, this is what I want to do. At the end of the day, you did something, and then you judge how good you did it. And then you rinse and repeat, and you become better, and you become better. But it's muscle memory. It's sport. It's like Virat Kohli and Sachin played strokes 10,000 times before they actually became good at it. So where's your practice? And all of those people who keep on saying, I want to be an esports athlete and I play 12 hours a day. I was like, yeah, you're actually wasting time and you're lying to yourself.
Okay. I think this will be an eye-opening piece of advice and word from you, Akshat. So, Akshat, we have got a lot of questions, and guys, it's not possible to take every question, but I have found one interesting question. It's from Karthik Khergade, and he's asking that it's an important question, I believe. He's asking that he has massive interest in esports. Can you please give an insight on the management part of esports? He has come across a university in USA which offer a degree program for esports. So please guide on the job part of it.
So where are esports? Forget the word esports, right? If you actually go ahead and say, pick any sport, the management part of every sport is exactly the same. It's the same in cricket. It's the same in basketball. It's the same in esports. You manage teams, you manage players, you need to do logistics, you need to go ahead and do training, you need to do salaries, you need to do house management, you need to go do social media, you need to go ahead and do graphics, you need to go ahead and do digital, you need to go ahead and understand the internet. You also need, if you're actually in the sport itself, then you can be a coach, you can be a commentator. You're a better commentator if you are a player. Most of the times, the Harsha Bhogles are exceptions, but most of the times you will be a better commentator if you were a player. So those are your career options. Don't think of it, there are no new career options in esports than there is in any real sport. Exact same.
Yeah, true. I think, yeah, this is the most commonly asked question about the management part of sport. And that's true with like a lot of sports, like something like motorsport as well, because in India, it's not that much structured. So Akshat, we will wrap up the conversation with a last question from me. It's so difficult to ignore all the questions because we are getting a lot of questions. So Akshat, yeah, where do you see esports in India and NODWIN in particular in the next 5 years?
So esports will definitely become one of the top 2 sports, both at a player base and a watch base in the country of India. We will come very close to cricket, if not beat cricket in the next decade. That's one. The second one is treat this like any other career. Remember, if the people, how many professional cricketers in the country of India? Professional means this is their only livelihood.
Very few as compared to the entire population.
About 300 people, by the way. There's less than 300 to 400 professional cricketers in the country of India. How many kabaddi players in the country, professional kabaddi players in the country of India? Less than 80. Yeah. You will not, if someone comes to you and say, I want to be an esports athlete, if they cannot be in the top 200 in the game they choose, don't, and that's the aspirational, right? If they are among the top 200 as a player, you've made it. And don't worry, you'll make money. You'll eventually make money. It doesn't matter. Most of the other time, we keep on going and confusing the word esport with the word entertainment. This is a career for you in esports if you are a player among the top 200. As a manager, if you can understand how to manage teams. For a sponsor lead person, if you're good in sales, just like you will go ahead and get sponsorship for an IPL team, you will get sponsorship for an esports team. You can be in broadcast, you can be in event management, you can be in design, you can be in logo, you can be a video editor. You will have just those careers. A video editor can go ahead and work in comedy movies or in drama movies or in TV or in digital. That's fine. Those are just the manifestations. If you're good as an editor, you're good as an editor. That's the skill you have. And that's the kind of thing which will translate. So esports will be a sport, but just like all sports, at the top, it will be limited. And at the bottom, it will be very massified. But the more massified it is, the more generic skills will work for you. And the more at the top, more specific skills will work for you. But those specific skills you should be among the top 200 in those specific skills to go play that game.
True. I think, yeah, Akshat, we, after speaking to you now, I'm understanding that why the e-conferences on esports is last for like 10 to 12 hours. Now I can very well understand that. So thank you, Akshat. It was a lovely conversation with you. And it's a very, okay, Karthik is saying good show, Akshat. So yeah, from all the audience and on behalf of my team, very big thank you to you. And I just cannot. Okay, Kevin Moore is saying best explanation. Thank you, Akshat, and the entire team at Nordwing. And yeah, happy Ganesh Chaturthi.
Happy Ganesh Chaturthi. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good evening. Yeah, bye-bye. Bye.